Today we're going to break down a story that, honestly, many of you might find a little too familiar. We're talking about the slow, painful process of trust completely falling apart in a relationship. We'll trace the whole journey, from what felt like a secure beginning, all the way to total emotional exhaustion, and see just how betrayal can tear a person's reality apart.
This one sentence right here, this is our destination. But nobody just wakes up feeling this way. It's the result of a long, confusing, and painful journey. So how does someone even get to this point? Let's dig into the anatomy of this betrayal, step by painful step. You know, the thing about most stories of betrayal is that they don't start out bad. They start with a foundation of trust. And in this case, the relationship began with all the signs of being safe and committed. And that's exactly what makes what comes next so incredibly disorienting.
So in the beginning, everything looked pretty perfect. She felt genuinely cared for. There was respect, there was support, and here's the big one. They were talking about a future together. I mean, these are the absolute building blocks of trust, right? She was made to believe she was in this secure world where he was 100% serious about that.
But then, things start to feel off. A disconnect starts to creep in. And this is such a critical phase, where these small inconsistencies begin to create this nagging feeling of confusion. Suddenly, his actions start telling a very different story from his words.
And this is where it gets really, really messy. You have this huge clash between what he's saying and what he's doing. On one hand, his words are all about, yes, I'm serious, let's plan our future. But on the other hand, his actions are screaming distance. He's dodging meetings, he's hiding her on social media, he's super protective of his phone. It creates this confusing reality where you just don't know what to believe anymore.
Okay, so this is a huge moment. The narrator actually gets a direct warning from another woman who had a similar experience with him. But because that foundation of trust is still pretty strong, she explains it away. She chose to believe in the version of him that he showed her and just dismissed this massive red flag as being part of his past.
But you can only ignore things for so long, right? Eventually, all those little inconsistencies, all those warnings she pushed aside, they start to pile up until they just can't be ignored. And that's the moment of discovery, when the full, absolutely shocking scale of the deception finally comes to light. Just look at this timeline. It shows you the insane complexity of the lie. This wasn't a simple mistake. 4 months ago, he meets one girl. 3 months ago, he starts dating our narrator, and the whole time he was already in a nearly year-long relationship with someone else. He was juggling 3 separate relationships at the same time.
So, how on earth did he manage all this? Well, it took a ton of effort. This was a systematic, conscious campaign of deception. He literally blocked the narrator when he went out, then unblocked her when he got home. He deleted chats. He would even jokingly admit the truth, using humor to hide in plain sight. Every excuse, I'm busy, I'm working, it was all a cover.
Amidst all of the cheating and the lies, this detail is just particularly brutal. When the narrator was in the hospital, a moment of true vulnerability, he didn't even check in on her. She had to be the one to call him. This wasn't just about cheating anymore. This was a complete failure of basic human care.
Now, you'd think that once he was discovered, the deception would stop. But it didn't. It just evolved. The manipulation entered a whole new phase, one designed to twist the narrative and keep her completely confused.
What follows is this vicious cycle designed to keep her hooked. He promises to change, which gives her this little burst of hope. Then he gets caught again, and that hope is snatched away. Psychologically, this is known as intermittent reinforcement. It's like a slot machine. The unpredictable rewards keep you pulling the lever, hoping for the next win. It's incredibly powerful and incredibly damaging.
And here you see the gaslighting in full effect. He takes the consequences of his actions and flips them around to make them her flaws. She's acting differently. Well, according to him, that's her problem, not a reaction to his betrayal. Her anxiety over his lies? No, that's her causing him stress. He created this entire mess, and now he's blaming her for reacting to it. It is absolutely textbook.
So all of this whole ordeal, it leads to the final stage, the complete destruction of trust and the state of constant, gnawing anxiety.
And this is the core of the whole problem, isn't it? The words of love and care are still there, but they've been totally stripped of their meaning. How can you possibly believe someone's words of affection when their actions have proven that they're completely unreliable? You just can't. And that's an incredibly painful and confusing place to be stuck in.
So the aftermath is, well, it's a total state of distress. She's left feeling anxious all the time, always wondering if he's lying again. She's confused by the disconnect between his words and his history. She's emotionally drained from the constant cycle of hope and disappointment. And in the end, she just feels completely lost.
And here it is. This is the tragic result of being gaslit for so long. After everything she's been through, the lies, the manipulation, the broken promises, she's now questioning herself. She's wondering if her perfectly valid feelings of distrust and anxiety are actually a character flaw. Is she the one who's over-possessive?
Let's be absolutely clear. Her anxiety, her doubt, her so-called possessiveness, these are not character flaws. They are the natural, logical, and sane response to an insane situation. They are the emotional wounds left behind by a deep and systematic betrayal of trust.
And that really leaves us with the final, huge question that this whole story raises. In any relationship, when that fundamental pillar of trust is completely and totally destroyed, what, if anything, is actually left?